Our top focus. If you take a domestic flight in India, you're always advised to arrive 2 hours early. That's always been the norm at Indian airports. But airlines are now asking their passengers to arrive at least 3 hours early. The reason? The pictures that you'll be seeing on your screens right now. They were posted on social media by a passenger at Delhi's Terminal 3, T3. Just look at the lines snaking through the security check-in. It's apparently the same for immigration and baggage delivery as well. People are losing their temper, they are missing their flights, they are losing their baggage. It's a chaotic mess in what is supposed to be one of the best airports in Delhi, in India in fact. And by the way, it's not just Delhi. Similar scenes have been reported in the Mumbai airport as well. We scanned through Twitter and found dozens and dozens of passengers complaining online. Some of them have missed their flights, others could not find their baggage. After multiple complaints online, the government has finally been pushed to act. Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia has now held an emergency meeting that happened today after days of chaos. He spoke to the senior management at all major airports. A few hours back, he's tweeted that there are 5 decisions that have been taken at the meeting to ease the pressure on airports in big cities. But frankly, if you look at them, none of them are offering a concrete solution. Let me read out a couple of those decisions for you. We are being told that landing cards will be distributed on board the flights to minimize the rush at immigration counters. Another decision was to acquire new technology in the long run for security and baggage. But the fact is that neither of these decisions will help in the short run. There is a major manpower and capacity crunch at major airports, and landing cards simply cannot solve it. That is the truth of the matter. Okay. Before going to my guests, and we have 3 of them joining us today, including a reporter, a journalist who's been tracking the story closely, let me give you an idea about why we are seeing what we are seeing at India's airport. One reason is the rise in the number of passengers. During the COVID-19 pandemic, all domestic and international flights were grounded. As a result, air traffic slowed to a trickle. But 2 years later, these numbers are picking up again. Suddenly, there is a huge surge at the airports. Let me show you the data. In 2019, India had 14.4 crore domestic passengers. They fell to just 6.3 crores in 2020, which of course was the year of the lockdowns. By 2021, the numbers slowly started picking up. India recorded 8 crore domestic passengers last year, which brings us to 2022. All indications are we have reached the pre-pandemic levels. Around 4 lakh domestic passengers are being ferried every day across Indian airports. 4 lakh. But clearly the system is not able to handle them. That's very apparent in all the pictures and reports coming to us from airports across India. Reason number 2 is the airport logistics. Most passengers have complained about the shortage of CISF and other security personnel. If you think about it, we have all seen empty immigration and ticket counters at every airport. You always wonder when there's such a long queue why there are not more people at the ticket counters or at the baggage counters. But in such crunch times, shortages can be the difference between catching a flight or missing it. Again, let's take a look at what the data is saying. India's major airports are already operating at 130% of its capacity, which means if it can handle 100 people, it is being forced to handle 130 people. There simply, therefore, isn't enough space or people to manage this crunch. In December 2021, the government said that 7,900 aviation jobs had been lost to the pandemic. Plus, 13,300 jobs in ground handling had been lost as well. So the question is, have these people been hired back, or is the aviation industry still operating at pandemic levels? If it is the latter, then airlines and airport authorities must take the blame. Earlier today, the Delhi airport released a statement saying that they are deploying 26 additional staff in the forecourt. It's a welcome move. But question is, why wasn't it done earlier? This chaos that we have been seeing and this peak chaos that we have been seeing has been going on for at least 1 week. Why wait for dozens of people to miss their flights? And finally, some passengers have also raised the issue of private security at airports. In September, if you remember, the government had decided to deploy 1,900 private personnel at 60 airports. They were supposed to replace CISF personnel and perform non-core duties. The idea behind this move was to cut expenditure. But could this be one of the reasons for these endless queues we are seeing and these endless delays? Whatever the reason, we the passengers deserve answers. We deserve better because we pay extra for the services at the airport. You may or may not know this, but every ticket you buy has a component called the PSF, which is the passenger service fee. 65% of it goes to the Airport Authority of India and 35% goes to the respective airports. So the truth is, we are getting this absolutely horrible service after paying for it. So that's the reality of our situation and our airports right now. Let me go straight across to our guests who are joining us this evening. Arindam Majumdar is the assistant editor at the Economic Times. He's joining us on the broadcast. In fact, he's the one I want to go to first before I introduce our other guests. Arindam, you've been covering this story for a while. It's only in the last 48 to 72 hours, Arindam, that this story has blown up and made national headlines. But for how long has the situation been chaotic at the airports? And is it just Delhi Airport and Bombay Airport, or is it other airports across this country?
Hello, Shreya, and thank you for having me on your show. So basically, this situation, as you rightly pointed out at the beginning, this sudden surge in the passenger number, which has been happening since the mid of November, we have been complaining that demand is not coming up, demand is not coming back. But all of a sudden, since the holiday season began and the festive season is coming up, we are seeing sudden spike in passenger numbers. Like to give an example, for the last few days, passenger numbers, domestic passenger number have been consistently over the 4 lakh figure mark, which is at almost the pre-COVID level. So this situation has been going on at the airports almost, I should say, for the last 10 to 12 days now. Delhi being the national capital, and now it's been highlighted, that's why it's probably now in the prime time. But Bangalore has been facing this issue. Flyers have been continuously raising this, have been sharing pictures on social media that Bangalore is a choke point. As the holiday season is nearing, and I'm afraid that the situation will get more worse. So this has been going on for some time. Now that Delhi and Bombay are facing this issue and more international travel is opening up, translating into more passenger numbers in the domestic skies. That's why suddenly this issue has boomed up.
Arindam, finally, after 15 days, in fact, more than 15 days, after 20 days of this chaos, we are finally seeing the Aviation Ministry and the Minister being forced to respond to what passengers are saying. Everyone is outraging on Twitter. And, when a minister is forced to respond to an outraged passenger is when you know that the situation is really bad. So can we say that the Civil Aviation Ministry, A, was sleeping on the job, Arindam, and B, there are some measures that have been announced. What do you make of those measures? In the short term, can they solve the current choke that we are seeing?
Right. First of all, to point out that all the major airports in our country, like if you see Delhi, Bombay and Bangalore, those are privately managed. And I think the very basic fact that these airports are privatized is with the intention that we passengers get better service. And you correctly pointed out the PSF, the passenger service fees goes up. The landing charges, parking charges, every charges goes up when an airport is turning to private hands in the anticipation that better service is provided by efficient private players. So I think I should blame the private players more, those Delhi International Airport or Mumbai International Airport Limited who manage those airports. They should have forecasted this spike in demand because they have complete teams and surveys done, and when the traffic figure will touch a high, and it was quite anticipated that 2022 will be the revival season for tourism and travel. And I think all the 3 airports, being the busiest airports in India, should have been more prepared and should not have seen a day where the minister has to interfere and say that pull up your socks to get things right. So to even point out, there are surveys done. So Delhi, if I can give an example, basically the pain point is at three primary period when the choke point is there. One is the early morning hours, the 7 to 9 a.m. And then there is 11 to 12 p.m. and there is 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. These 3 hours are basically the rush points when more than 200 departures are planned at the same period of time. So to have that managed from a single terminal is quite an ask. And now only when there is a huge public furor, we are seeing that the minister asking the airports and the airports telling the airlines that you should plan your departures, you should scatter your departure more and not have that at the same period of time. So I think these actions should have been taken before because winter schedule started long back and we anticipated a surge in demand. This when the schedule was made for this current winter schedule, it should have been better planned that flights are categorized and spread in such a manner that no such specific hour becomes a choke point for airports. The minister has also asked for certain other steps like one specific step is this landing card to be distributed to people who are arriving in India from international borders in the aircraft itself so that those can be filled up and the immigration points counters don't get choked. That's a practice that has been usually followed. It's not at all unique, and that the minister has to repeat and
I was wondering why it is being announced.
I think it's being
it's exactly what I was thinking to myself when that press statement was put out.
Right. So,
yeah, I was wondering what's going on. This always exists, so what's new?
airlines have definitely not adhered to it, and that's why this has been reiterated. But this like I have to say, this is a practice which has been started almost 5-6 years back. This is not something new, and if it's not being adhered to by the airlines distributing these cards in the aircraft itself, then I think that is one thing that needs to be strictly enforced on. The other thing is that this extra capacity and baggage is to be increased. Again, I am saying is the private airport operators. We pay the passenger service fees to them. We pay the charges to them. They should have been better prepared. They should have augmented their infrastructure much more and not let passengers in such a soup that they have to come out to social media and complain about that. Of course, there is a decrease in manpower, and there is this little catch that when a large number of manpower was laid off in 2020 or 2021 during COVID, a lot of them found jobs in other industry, and now they are not ready to come back in this travel industry or airport services, which are a high intensity job. So there is convenience to find the suitable manpower, and not only to find that manpower, they have to be trained and then properly put into job. But the bottom line says that airports should have been better prepared, should have been much more better planned, because this holiday season rush at Indian airports was foreseen for a long time.
And you know what is happening? GS Baba, you're a former general manager, public relations at the Airport Authority of India. What is happening is people are losing their baggage. They are not finding it. People are missing their flights because they have to stand in long queues. Security check-in ke liye, you have to stand for at least an hour, hour and a half. There have been reports that have been done. One I remember by Cyril as long as 2 years ago that had told you that this situation is going to come. And it is upon us and we are not prepared. It's as simple as that.
All right. At the outset, I would like to compliment you that you brought this topic under the scanner of the media very early and at the appropriate time. And today is 7th December and International Passengers Civil Aviation Day. So compliments to the passengers and your viewers on that. And I was expecting that such a discussion will happen, but I was not expecting it will happen so soon. And thank you for that. Now coming to your problem, this chaos at the airport. First of all, this chaos was expected. We were sick. Sometime we wish to God, the God give me, but then God gives you wo chhappar phaad ke aapko deta hai. He gives you an abundance. No, we were looking for passengers. We were starving for passengers, and then we were expecting. And all forecasts had said that we will, by 2022, we will have pre-COVID scenario, and then the regular growth will also join that growth. And probably we were not sure that we will get that. And we started sleeping, and now the God has given us that traffic. VFR traffic is back, holiday traffic is back, and people want to spend time and they want to come out, and now we don't have the services. Now this problem You give them card, you give them whatever. Real problem is there is a shortage of stocks. And this shortage of staff is not a phenomena at the airport, it's everywhere because the people have started cutting the staff. And in aviation, you cannot generate or create the staff overnight. So that is one ill factor which is killing us. And above all, we need to be sensitized at the airports. So far as the missing the flight is concerned, I myself had a very narrow experience of missing the flight, and someone recognized me at the airport and they said, sir, you are the protocol person and you must be given priority. I said, no problem, but you do it fast. But then no one listens at the airport. And I remember there used to be a concept of dwell time measurement at the airport, which we are totally forgotten. And there used to be word of association, organizations who deal with that. Their weightage used to be there. That is absolutely missing. And we must monitoring our performance on day-to-day basis, and then we start correcting. Otherwise, this chaos will keep on happening, and you will look for temporary solutions. We should not look for temporary solutions. Everybody knows that we are capacity constrained, and we have not prepared for this. We had been wishing, but we never prepared for this. That's my frank opinion on this chaos.
We weren't prepared. We knew that this was coming. We knew that this traffic was coming. 4 lakh plus passengers every day traveling. We knew it was coming. We were not prepared. Everyone was caught napping, which is why you have a situation that you have at 3 major airports in this country, across the country, but 3 major airports: Bombay, Delhi, Bangalore. Complete chaos. So in case you're traveling, and I myself will be traveling on Saturday, now the usual protocol is if you don't have baggage, you can saunter in 2 hours early. No, absolutely not. If you're traveling, ladies and gentlemen, please ensure that you go at least 3 hours early. If you have lots of baggage and children with you, go 4 hours early, because there's a good chance if you don't, you will miss your flight given the crowd and the chaos at the airports right now. Mr. Sanat Kaul, what's the solution?
I just want to add, when you give me that time, second time, there are certain tips I will give it to you, to the passenger, when you give me that time. Okay.
Okay. Okay, Sanat Kaul. All right, Mr. Baba. Sanat Kaul, just come in here.
Right.
We understand that a situation like this had arisen in Heathrow as well. You remember when a lot of flights were delayed, a lot of flights were cancelled, because post the pandemic, when people started traveling again, they realized, oh my God, there is no staff to handle baggage, no staff to handle other things as well. It seems that exactly what happened in Heathrow is happening to us as well. Is it just a lack of staff? Is it bad planning as well?
Yeah, well, it's everything, and it's a great news that travel is back to pre-COVID levels, but the management is lacking. I have discussed this at senior level with the airport, with the GMR and other airports, and of course, there would be some blame game, but one of the issues that comes out is that the security staff cannot be increased overnight. Airports can increase quite a bit of the staff, but security staff is difficult to increase because they have to be specialized, they have to be part of CISF or even the temporary people they have taken from other agencies. So that is a choke point. We have to identify the choke point, how to handle them. And that appears to be a choke point where there is a need to do something much more than what is happening. So that is where, I mean, I would say at present, the thing lies. It is also there with other points, but this is one point where attention needs to be concentrated and remedies to be found. The other thing is that maybe, I'm told, that there have been more information regarding attacks and, terrorist attacks and so on. So they are becoming even more careful. So these two things perhaps have combined with the delays that are taking place in the airport more. Not that you can exonerate the airport staff and the other staff, but there has to be identification of the choke points. And I think this perhaps could be one which needs analysis. That's all I can say just now, because it's too early a thing to make a full
Actually, it's not, Mr. Kaul, it's not too early. It's not too early because this situation started mid-November and has been escalating since then. Now, people will, usually keep quiet, grin and bear it and say, chalo, airport hai, at least you have reached where you needed to reach, etc. But when people start, outraging on social media, when you have top-end business editors tweet as well, because everyone, whether you're flying business class or economy, you're facing the same sort of problems. That is when you know that the situation is out of hand. I'm quickly going to take two callers. Dr. Polar Roy is calling us from Delhi. Dr. Rao, I beg your pardon. Go ahead, please.
Polar Rao here. Hello?
Yeah.
Can
Yes,
you
sir.
repeat
Good
it?
evening. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, you see, basically, airports, after they were privatized, nobody is regulating them. There is a body, Airport Economic Regulatory Authority, formed in 2009. Nobody is doing anything. The private management says we are not responsible for immigration, we are not responsible for security. So therefore, there's no unified command. Nobody will answer. If there's a delay at the customs, if there's a delay at the immigration, everybody's common complaint is that the security lines go on for hours. Why isn't government doing something? And the saddest part is the regulatory authorities have now become captured. I'm sorry to use this word, whether it's the DGCA or the Airport Regulation Authority, Airport Economic Regulator, or any other body. They don't visit the airport. They've just left it. And, millions of passengers are traveling every day, and they're at the mercy of a chaotic management. Definitely, the government has to step in. The government must assert it has given rights to a private company, but it has to regulate this. This is a public good. The service is a public good. And unless the government intervenes and doesn't act so gingerly, this chaos will increase. Oh, that is the situation now. There's an airport.
No, the government has intervened. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Rao. The government has intervened, but the government has intervened only after the citizens' outrage. They should have intervened when they saw this situation brewing. They can very well say that, oh, all these three airports you're talking about have been privatized, etc. Yes, but you have a job as well, right? You have a job to oversee that they are doing their job well, which you failed to do. Manohar, you're calling us from Delhi. Go ahead, please. Good evening.
I was last week in Kashmir and the flight got delayed. Hello? Hello?
I can hear you. Go ahead, Manohar.
Yeah. Last week I was in Kashmir and my flight got delayed due to some technical snag, and there was nobody to care about it. And we were stranded, no news. When will the flight come? Technical snag, nothing. And we bought mineral water, half a bottle, 80 rupees. 1 cup of tea, 185 rupees. Horrible. Nobody wants to listen to us.
Yeah.
And I being a senior citizen of 80 years age.
Mr. Manohar, fact is that Srinagar airport is a different story altogether because of security concerns around it. But I understand that citizens across this country are having a tough time as far as airports are concerned. Mr. Baba, I have exactly 20 seconds. I need to take a break, but I want to come to you because you promised to tell our viewers how to beat the chaos at airports. So 20 seconds में बता दीजिए please क्या करना चाहिए.
First of all, they must come early. They must prepare themselves for faster security clearance. They should put all prohibited items in their check-in baggage, and they should be as much as possible metal-free. To the extent they should use soft belt, not metal belts. And then they should rehearse that how fast they have to travel, what counter they have to go in, and they should be always stay connected with the people at the airport. And then they should keep their documents in order. They should not be perfect order. They should be kept in the perfect order which the staff wanted. And then, of course, they should be, if we can do in India, there is a system of pre-security check clearance, which costs. I think that we should bring into India. It is already available in US. And also at the check-in counter. We should get away from the queued counter. We should adopt the hybrid system. There should be a dedicated counter for each particular flight. That is a lesson learned over a period of time, because the passenger who come late and then they add to the chaos. So they should let the airlines charge for that. If they come late, let them pay some penalty. But then that chaos can be taken care. I think I have taken 20 seconds.
Okay, GS Baba, thank you. Thank you. Yes, you did take 20 seconds, an exact 20 seconds. So we leave it there. Grateful to you for joining us. GS Baba, thank you very much. Mr. Kaul, Sanat Kaul, thank you very much. And Anirban, good to have you on the show as well to put the story in perspective for us. Thank you all very much. So as I said, the airports right now are in complete chaos. If you're traveling, if you have to travel, just ensure that you get to the airport as early as possible. That's all I'll say on the matter. This is a story, of course, we'll keep tracking right here on Mirror Now. For the moment, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. Coming up next, the election results from the national capital. No surprises, but well, the BJP has done better than expected. That's up next. Do stay with us.